So if we're honest, we know that dark-skinned Black women, no matter where they may be located in the world, are the least protected among any race, ethnicity, color of women worldwide. And that's the issue. That's the real issue. That's the real problem. That's the trajectory that dark-skinned women in particular have been on really since we became enslaved. And the legacy has continued from the time of slavery even until the present. So I just want to share some things with you that's on my mind this morning about Black women in general and dark-skinned Black women in particular, and how we are not protected, how we are not deemed worthy of protection. And it's important for me to share this because I have to do my part to contribute to future generations' understanding of this phenomena where Black women, dark-skinned Black women, find ourselves in this very peculiar position where we are simply not protected. I want to thank you all for tuning in this morning. I know it's early in the morning and this is a very impromptu live. It's not anything that I planned. For those of you that don't know, my name is Rashida Strober. I am the world's first and only dark-skinned activist. I'm also the creator of the very first platform in history to ever fight for the eradication of what some would call colorism and what I call darkism, and what I also call dark-skin discrimination. I created this platform, which is the very first in history of its kind, in 1998. And I created it out of my own experience being a dark-skinned Black woman trying to answer the question of why was I being treated differently for having dark skin and for having nappy hair. So in 1998, I gave birth to this movement by giving a speech/lecture at St. Petersburg College addressing my status as a dark-skinned Black woman and how it was treated. Now, the only other person that I can give credit to is Cola Booth. She was advocating against colorism in the 90s. But dark-skin activism is actually the first movement in history to advocate against darkism and colorism and dark-skin discrimination. Dark-skin activism consists of me writing plays about only dark skin, books about only dark skin, and then touring around the United States with what I call darkism talks, where I discuss being dark skinned. So from 98 up until 2010, I was doing dark skin activism at a grassroots level. And then along came social media. YouTube started to become a viable player on the internet in terms of reaching the masses. And so I brought the first colorism dark skin channel to social media via YouTube. And it took a couple of years for people to catch on to what I was doing and understand what I was doing. Around 2014, I was invited onto a platform on YouTube to discuss my quote unquote dark skin agenda and my book, A Dark Skinned Woman's Revenge. And a couple of years later, a year later, should I say, 2015, I ended up going viral for speaking out on Kendrick Lamar's mate selection in terms of its darkism. And that viral post is the thing that got people, Black people on social media, on YouTube, talking about colorism. Prior to that, colorism and dark skin, it was not a discussion in terms of a massive issue that Black people wanted to address. It took me having to take a lot of heat. I've received death threats. I received lots of harassment. People said I was crazy. But then in the aftermath, people began to copy and plagiarize the very work that they said was crazy, in terms of going back to their channels and rebranding their entire channels from speaking on regular Black issues to talking about colorism. And it all happened as a result of my work. Now, have I been given credit for it? No. Have people continued to plagiarize my work? Yes. But as I move along this journey, I've learned, I wouldn't say I have fully accepted, but I've learned that that comes along with the territory. First they mock you, then they copy you, and then there's, there's the things that happen in the aftermath of that. So my books include How to Be the Hottest Dark-Skinned Chick on the Planet, which is the very first motivational book written for dark-skinned females. Other books include A Dark-Skinned Woman's Revenge. And I also have a play version, which is a one-woman play where I play 5 characters that tell their dark skin experience. My other books include Token Dark Girl, the It Dark Girl of the Moment. My other books include Darkism, 25 Ways Dark-Skinned People Are Discriminated Against. And I have written more books on dark skin than anybody in the world, and have been doing this, like I said, way before social media existed, way before others started talking about it online. This is my life's work. And it's not that I like to think, it's I know as a result of my work, other people begin to speak out against colorism, because they certainly were not doing it before me. So that's just a brief history. If you want to go to my website, darkskinactivist.com, once again, darkskinactivist.com, you can go there and get more information. If you want to Google Rashida Strober, there's going to be plenty of information that pops up about my legacy and my history, building and creating this first platform to address colorism and dark skin discrimination. Again, before YouTube existed, I've been doing this work, and I'm going to continue. And so that brings me to why I'm doing this live today, just to talk about a few things. As a result of my work, being the first dark skin activist and creating the first platform in history to address dark skin discrimination and colorism as a topic, I've been under attack. And the most recent attacks, now there's been many, but I'm going to just talk a little bit about the most recent attacks, because it's related to, again, the trajectory that dark-skinned women have always been on. And I also want to say I'm very sensitive. I'm very attuned to the fact that people listen to me and plagiarize me and copy me, and I don't want to be copied. And some people say that copying a person is a form of flattery. I don't want to be copied. I don't like people that copy me. If you're going to cite me, if you're going to talk about my ideas, you need to say my name, say where you got the ideas from, or I can't respect you. I can't respect it. And I will, and I have cut ties from people that have plagiarized my work. I have no problem doing that, because, in this world, you gotta be the type of person, when you're dealing with controversial issues, that's willing to stand alone. And I'm willing to stand alone. I'm going to continue to speak out and do what I do as the dark skin activist. And if I have to make enemies and lose so-called friends, I have no problem with that. The biggest thing is, don't plagiarize my work. Don't listen to my videos and go repackage it and rebrand it and not give credit to where you're getting these ideas from. I'm not the type, and I've never been the type, to sit back and listen to what another person says. And before there was YouTube, before there was the internet where you listen to people's videos, it was books. I'm a reader. Readers are leaders. I've never been the type to read a person's book and go and regurgitate their ideas as if it was my own. I don't do that. I give credit to where I got the inspiration, where I got the idea. So all I'm asking is, don't come onto my video and listen to what I'm saying about any of the ideas that I am presenting and take it back to your platform, your channel, and regurgitate it as if it's your own, because it's not. That's intellectual dishonesty. So, and I just want to say that these ideas are my original ideas, my original thought process, how I really think and what I believe. And with that being said, a person should never, if you don't really and truly believe in an idea, you should never put forth that idea as if it were your own. I'm a real antinatalist. I really do believe in antinatalism. I really do understand what antinatalism is. Just giving an example, and I've been able to tie in concepts such as antinatalism with dark skin activism and darkism. These are my original ideas. Don't plagiarize. With that being said, I want to talk about what I've been going through for the past year as a result of my work as the dark skin activist. For the past year, starting back in June 14th of 2020, I have been cyber stalked, cyber terrorized. People have threatened to kill me. People have threatened to bomb my house. People have threatened to kill my family members. And it's all because I speak out against one simple thing, in which I have been doing before YouTube and social media existed. I speak out against what I have termed darkism. Darkism is also the title of my book. And because I'm a Black woman, and if we look at history, if we look back at history, historically, Black women, particularly dark-skinned Black women, if we look at this trajectory, which is why I use the word trajectory in the title, that dark-skinned women have been on, it has been this path of discrimination, darkism, sexism, any ism that you can think of, any type of discrimination that you can think of. Dark-skinned women in particular, and Black women in general, have suffered from the isms the most, more than any group on the planet, more than any race, more than any ethnicity. And the manifestation of that suffering comes through the fact that, as Malcolm X stated, we are the least protected. You see, because when you are the least valued, the most devalued, then you are by default the least protected. And so when I reflect and examine, well, why me? Why have I been the subject of death threats? Why have I had CPS called on me and tried to have my child taken away from me? Why have I been illegally recorded in the privacy of my home? Why have I had people call my phone and threaten to kill me? In fact, there's a person on YouTube who has a extensive record, criminal record, felonies, that has consistently, as a result of a person who has a big following on YouTube as a result of this person giving out my personal information. And as a result of this person telling his followers, attack this woman, one of the followers has actually, for the past year, consistently called my phone, threatened to kill me, harassed me, cyber stalked me, sent emails of graphic sexual nature, sent text messages of graphic sexual nature and violent nature. This is what has been going on. And as I reflect on this, it is as a result of the systemic trajectory that dark-skinned Black women have been on since slavery. And if we want to go, we can go all the way back to Africa, and we can talk about the origins of how this happened, but it's really very simple. As Africa was invaded by various invaders, the protection of the Black woman became this issue that to this day has not been addressed. It has not been, it's never been, I don't even want to use the word adequately, because that's what came up in my head, but it hasn't been, adequately is not even appropriate to use in this sense, because the protection of the Black woman hasn't been addressed. And I'm speaking on a level that's where we can look and we can say, okay, we do have someone speaking up for us. We do have someone that's pushing for our protection. Even if you go back to women's rights, voting rights, Black women were at the bottom of getting voting rights. Black men got the right to vote before Black women. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. I'm just simply pointing out the facts. Black women's protection has never been a real viable issue. I remember, let's talk about Anita Hill, just pops up in my mind. Yeah, I believe 1991 was the year that she testified before Congress regarding Clarence Thomas. And I probably was around 12 or 13, but I remember Anita Hill. I remember the impact that Anita Hill had on me. And as I think back, Anita Hill, if you don't know who she is, you should Google her or YouTube her. She testified against Clarence Thomas. He was up for the Supreme Court nomination, and she had worked for him at one point. He was her supervisor. I believe he was over the EEOC. And this man was sexually harassing her. And I always believed her. Let me just say that from the outset. I always believed Anita Hill, and her impact on me was great, because here was this dark-skinned woman, very intelligent, very soft-spoken, that was there among all these white people, that was speaking out on this Black man who had sexually harassed her, And even as a kid, I just remember I used to watch some of this stuff, y'all. And I could just see that there was honesty and integrity and in truth in what she was saying. And now that I'm an adult and I can comprehend the full gravity of a dark-skinned woman like Anita Hill, and in the context of darkism and this trajectory of being unprotected as a dark-skinned woman, Anita Hill fits into that trajectory so well to me, as I just think back on certain people and events that underscores the fact that dark-skinned women are the least protected. And the manifestation of that ill protection, let us not forget, Clarence Thomas was confirmed. That speaks volumes to me. Because here you have this dark-skinned Black woman is telling her story of what happened to her. And Clarence Thomas's confirmation it just showed me that dark-skinned Black women and Black women are not believed. It just shows me that anybody can do anything they want to a Black woman, to a dark-skinned Black woman, or to a Black woman, and they can still succeed. They can still achieve their highest heights. They can still go to the highest levels of society. That is exactly what happened with Clarence Thomas. Anyone that wants to refute what I'm saying, I mean, good luck. Because I can, Anita Hill is just one example that popped in my head. I can talk about others. It's not just me as a dark-skinned Black woman that's on this trajectory of being unprotected as it relates to darkism. I can underscore millions. And I'm using the word millions because if I decided to do research in terms of preparing a book or something of that nature, a documentary or something of that nature, trust me, I would not have any problem finding examples in the millions to support what I'm saying right now. Another example that comes to mind is Celia, a Slave, which everybody should read that book. And by the way, before I move on from speaking about Anita Hill, I just wanted to say, I have so much respect for her. I just don't think that even to this day, people understand the gravity of what she actually accomplished. And I don't know, I can't speak for her, but I'm speaking from my own perspective on the outside looking in and just remembering those hearings, remembering her testifying before the Senate. I mean, you guys could go and look it up. This stuff should be on YouTube. But what she did actually benefited women as a whole, regardless of race, because her bravery, her honesty, her relentlessness, and it was, some Black women, they're loud and bold, and some Black women, they kind of calm and laid back. And Anita Hill had this calm, laid back, very intellectual demeanor. But she is and was powerful beyond belief, because look at what she did. She opened up the doors for women of all races to say, hey, I've been sexually harassed and I'm going to report this. I'm going to file a complaint. I'm not going to keep quiet about this. Okay? And that's what I respect. I got so much respect for Black women like her that have actually made a difference. But it just seems like the irony of that, and there's irony in everything, y'all. It just seems like Black dark-skinned women, Black women in general, and dark-skinned women in particular, don't get the benefits of whatever work they put in. You understand what I'm saying? It always goes, and I have no problem with, for example, Anita Hill, her fight benefiting women on a whole as it relates to sexual harassment in different spheres. I have no problem with that. But I'm just saying, why is it that dark-skinned Black women, why do we still find ourselves on this trajectory of being the most unprotected? Why have we still not benefited? It's almost like affirmative action. If you look at affirmative action, if you go and look at the studies, you will see, if you look at the research, you will see that affirmative action has actually benefited more non-Black groups than Black groups. A couple of years ago, I want to say a couple of years ago, some years ago, FAMU, for example, I remember they opened a law school, and the law school was supposed to, FAMU, Florida A&M, is a historically Black college, if you don't know. FAMU Law School was supposedly, the politically correct thing to say, it was open to serve Black students becoming Black lawyers. But at one point, those that were benefiting from FAMU were not Black students. They were not Black law students. Go do your research. So what I'm saying is, we as Black dark-skinned women, we go through so much in terms of fighting for our rights and fighting for our freedom and fighting for the rights of the race as a whole. But where's the benefit to the dark-skinned Black woman? Where's the rewards? Where's the reward of at least being protected? Where's the reward of at least being protected? Fannie Lou Hamer, she pops up in my head. I remember watching an interview, I believe it was an interview or something I was reading about her, where she talked about she went to the police about the death threat she was getting, and they did nothing. They did nothing to protect her. Again, the dark-skinned Black woman is on this trajectory of not being protected. That is the problem. So it's not just me. It's not just me, Rashida Strober, the dark-skinned activist, that's not being protected after the threats of violence by a cyber stalker who has a felony criminal record, which I've recently learned, and who's, the person that he followed, who told him and thousands of others, hey, physically attack Rashida Strober. I will kill Rashida Strober. Here's her information. Let me give it to you so you can go and cyber stalk her and cyber harass her. And then when I bring these things to the attention of the authorities, I'm just another dark-skinned Black woman. I'm just another Black woman that's on this trajectory of no protection, while continuing to be cyber stalked, continuing to be harassed, continuing to be threatened. And again, this has been going on for over a year now. I continue to get threatening phone calls. I continue to get harassed. We have to ask ourselves, why do we allow this to continue? But that's a rhetorical question, because we all know the answer to that. Dark-skinned Black women are devalued. Dark-skinned Black women are not deemed, the whole thing about 3/5 a person. We're still looked at as 3/5 a person. We are still denied our humanity. If you're not protecting equally, there's no equal protection under the laws for dark-skinned Black women. Is that the 14th Amendment, y'all? I believe that's the 14th Amendment. Equal protection. It's been interpreted. And the 14th Amendment was supposedly, it was a part of the amendments that were added to the Constitution to give slaves, so-called slaves, rights. But I argue that there is no equal protection for dark-skinned Black women under the law. The 14th Amendment granted citizenship to Black people. But there is no equal protection. There is no equal protection for dark-skinned Black women under the law. We don't have it. We're still, Rashida Strober, as a result of what I have gone through over the past year, being stalked, cyber stalked, harassed, which all of these things are illegal. My 14th Amendment rights have been fucking violated. There is no equal protection for dark-skinned women under the law. Show it to me. Show it to me. Going back to the example of Anita Hill, Fannie Lou Hamer, there was no equal protection under the law, because if it was, why did Clarence Thomas get confirmed? Why did he get confirmed as a Supreme Court justice? Think about the type of person that you have on a Supreme Court. The Supreme Court, the supreme law of the land, they represent these, I believe it's 9 justices they are the final decision makers when it comes down to the law. And I believe Biden at the time, Joe Biden was, he was one of the people that was questioning Anita Hill. And my understanding was that he could have called witnesses that would have supported what Anita Hill, supported her testimony. But he didn't do that. Again, to me, that's a violation of Anita Hill's 14th Amendment rights. Explain that, Joe Biden. But maybe because she was dark-skinned. Maybe she was too dark-skinned for you, because you chose Kamala Harris, a light-skinned female that purports to be black. You know, that's the darkism there. So maybe there's some equal protection under the law for a black woman, a woman. She's not even black, but they're gonna call you black if you got a little bit of black in you. For a black woman that's light skinned, Joe Biden. I mean, I would love for him to explain that. There is no equal protection for dark-skinned black women under the law. We don't have it. And what I've been experiencing over the last year is a concrete example. I want you all to understand that I have been violently threatened by an individual online that was incited to do so from an online platform. This person's name is Super Saiyan Jim. Jimmy Holloway, that's the person. He was incited along with thousands of others, but there was a few that actually carried out the harassment. But they were incited by an individual who has a big platform on YouTube. This person incited and directed them to threaten bodily harm on me, to threaten violence on me, and they did it. And they continue to do it to this day. And my 14th Amendment rights are being violated because I have not been equally protected under the law. And it is sickening. And it is inhumane. And, you know, I'm making this video as well for documentation purposes for YouTube. I know that YouTube execs are probably watching my channel. I'm making it for you. I'm making it to let you know that you have individuals that use your platform to threaten Black women, to incite violence and harm against Black women. You have individuals that are using your platform to give out the personal information of Black women so that these Black women can experience physical harm. You have people that are using your platform to tell their followers to physically and violently attack Black women. YouTube, do something about it. This is what you are allowing on your platform. And at some point, it's got to stop, because YouTube, you are infringing upon my 14th Amendment rights, as well as the 14th Amendment rights of other Black women that have YouTube channels. Why are you allowing these people to create channels where they tell and direct and incite their followers to physically harm Black women? Why are you allowing these individuals to create channels where they're telling their followers to kill Black women? This is what is going on YouTube. This is what is going on YouTube. You know, and of course I have all the evidence and proof of it. And YouTube has done some things to curb this, but on a whole, they have not taken the actions that are necessary to stop it. And YouTube and Google has the power to do so. YouTube and Google has the power to go to these people's channels, turn over their information to the FBI, to police authorities, so that these individuals who incite violence and who carry out the threats of violence can be arrested. Super Saiyan Jim needs to be arrested for cyber stalking me, for harassing me, for threatening to do bodily harm against me. for calling my phone, harassing communications. The person that incited Super Saiyan Jim and others, they all need to be arrested. And I'm calling on YouTube to cooperate with the authorities in regards to turning over the information of these people and their channels, and also shutting their channels down because they are using their channels to threaten bodily harm against Black women, to cyber terrorize Black women. They are using their channels to tell other people to kill Black women. And if a Black woman turns up dead, YouTube and Google, some of this blood is going to be on y'all hands, because you're allowing people, it's not freedom of speech to come online and tell your followers to kill a Black woman. That is not freedom of speech. You don't have a right to do that. It is not freedom of speech to tell your followers, which is what the ringleader, this person, did to me a year ago. It's not freedom of speech to tell your thousands of followers to kill Rashida Strober. That is what this person did. That is not free. That is a crime. That is a criminal act. And I'm calling on YouTube to cooperate with authorities so that these people that have done this can be arrested. They need to be charged and arrested. That is the proper way to handle this. They need to be charged and arrested. I'm calling for their arrest. I am calling for each and every last individual, including the insider. I am calling for them to be charged and arrested for the criminal behavior that they have engaged in. I'm also calling for those Black women that have been threatened by these same individuals, that have been cyber stalked by these same individuals. I'm calling on you to do your part by going to the authorities. I'm also calling on you to do your part by going to Google and YouTube and reporting this using their web forms, using their fax number, using their address, to make them aware that they've got a big problem of Black women, of people online on YouTube threatening to kill Black women, doxing Black women, cyber stalking Black women, and that YouTube and Google, you need to do something about it. That's my call. So yes, this video is not just for the people that are watching me on my channel, that are subscribed to me. This video is for law enforcement, because I want to leave a verbal record. I'm already leaving a written record of everything that has taken place. I'm going to continue to pursue litigation. I will not stop. But I'm also leaving a verbal record of me making an appeal to the authorities. When I say the authorities, I'm talking about police. I'm talking about the FBI. I'm talking about the Attorney General, anybody in a position to charge these people who have committed these crimes against me and other Black women on YouTube. And I'm also making an appeal to YouTube and Google to stop this violence against Black women from going on your platform. Because again, I believe that eventually a Black woman, as a result of people like the person that incited violence against me and their followers, they're violent, because these people are violent. They're sick. Let me tell you, these people are sadistic. If you see the emails that they've sent me as a result of the ringleader inciting violence against me, they've sent me dead body parts. They've sent me stuff that I can't articulate some of the things that they've sent me, because it's just that vile. So I don't even want to say it. Okay. But I want you guys to understand that some of these people have felony records. Okay. They've been arrested for violent things. Okay. They're dangerous. These people, I believe that they will attack and murder, and that the ringleader will have a Black woman murdered. Based on the emails that I have gotten, my life is in danger as a result of the ringleader that started this. The reason my life is in danger is because I continue to get the calls, I continue to get the harassment, I continue to get the threats, to even to this day. These people are violent. You got to understand where I'm coming from here. They're violent. They're dangerous, violent people. And I know this because, like I said, some of them have criminal records. Some of them have criminal records. Violent criminal records. You got to understand that. And some of these people, if a person has a violent criminal record, if they have a history of being violent towards other people and they have been arrested for it. Now, sometimes I will say that sometimes people are charged with crimes that they didn't commit. Okay. Given the benefit of the doubt. But I want you to understand that some of these people have violent criminal records. And if you are telling your followers, and your followers are actually listening to what you're saying and doing what you say, to attack a person violently, listen, my life is in danger. I've been under attack, under threats for a year. June 14th makes a year that this has been happening to me. And I'm not the only one. I just wish that the Black women who are also victims, I wish that you all would have the courage to come forth. Stop being afraid. You don't have to be afraid. This road is not easy. I understand that you've been attacked. I get it. I'm a victim myself. But you have to come forward. I'm encouraging the Black women that have been victims, the true victims, and you got evidence and proof of this. If you're being honest and sincere, I'm not talking about people making up stuff. I don't condone lying just because you don't like somebody. No, that ain't what I'm saying. If you are an actual real victim of cyber stalking, of harassment and death threats, go to the authorities. Go to the authorities. Go to the authorities and keep going to the authorities, just like how I'm doing. Do not stop. Because again, going back to that 14th Amendment, equal protection, according to the laws of this country, you're a citizen, I'm a citizen, I'm entitled, and you are entitled to equal protection under the law. No one can deny you of that. You have a right to go to the authorities and report the violence that's taking place on YouTube. Also, go to Google and YouTube and write them and make them aware of the channels on YouTube that are exhibiting violence and encouraging violence on Black women. Wake up. If you don't do something about it, it's going to continue. That's why I continue to fight, because I know that, yeah, I'm going through this. I'm experiencing the violence, but there's other people, other Black women who are going to continue to experience the hatred towards them that's going to turn into violence if I don't speak up, if I don't continue to go to the authorities. You have to do the same thing. You can't sit back and just be silent. If you're sitting back being silent about the abuse and the physical threats of attacks on you, then you are a part of the problem. You are a part of the problem. So I'm appealing to you right now to take advantage of your 14th Amendment right and go to your local authority on these people. Report them. Let them do an investigation. Report these people. Bring your evidence. Preserve your evidence. It's very important. You have to come with evidence and understand that even in spite of evidence, and I gave you an example of Anita Hill, she had evidence of what happened to her, and they still confirmed this monster on the Supreme Court. But again, what Anita Hill did in the larger scheme of things is she opened the floodgates so that other women, regardless of color, they could go and file a complaint for the sexual harassment that took place against them. So you have to look at it in that way. You are helping other Black women. That's why I'm appealing to you to exercise your 14th Amendment rights by going to the authorities and filing your complaints. You have to do this. Well, modus apparatus, that's the problem. It's a lot of fear. You said, I wonder if maybe these other potential victims are afraid to step forward. That's it. That's the fear. And that's a part of, I'm glad you said that, because that is a part of the tragedy in existing for dark-skinned women, in existing. As we exist, we are bullied in a lot of different ways. We are devalued. And that's the tragedy, because we have been sent a message in so many ways that what you say is not valid, what you say is not valuable. We're not going to listen to you. But you have to ignore that. And I know that it's a tragedy in existing. It is. It is tragic. That's why I have the title. But in spite of your fear, you must act. Understand? And this is coming from a person that is not just talking. I'm not here to just be a motivational speaker to you. I'm a doer. It's a lot of people that come on YouTube and talk and run their mouth. I don't really like that. I like action takers. And whether you so-called win or whether you lose, you win if you take action. So this is not coming from a person that's coming on here just talking and running my mouth just to have viewers, just to have content. No, I have taken action after action after action, and I will not stop. And you need to do the same. Take action. You have to act in spite of your fear. You're going to have fear all through the process of engaging in your 14th Amendment right, enforcing it and fighting to enforce. You're going to have fear. You think I don't have, some people think I'm fearless, but I'm a human being. I'm a human being. I feel emotions just like anybody else, but you are still supposed to act in spite of whether or not you feel fear. Ignore it and act. Ignore that fear and report it. Ignore that fear and go down to your local police department. Ignore that fear and go to the FBI. Ignore that fear and write a letter to YouTube and Google. This is what you need to do. The point is, I don't care how fearful you are, you have a responsibility to act and report in spite of your fear. It's just that simple. It's just that simple, folks. So that's what I have to say. If you want to support me, because the issue here is I need to pay for the legal expenses that I have incurred. And that I continue to incur in this legal fight. So here's what you can do. You can go to my Cash App, which is $Rashidalala. Once again, $Rashidalala. And you can make a contribution there. Or you can go, thank you, Modus Apparatus. Or you can go to my PayPal, which is icecreamladydream@yahoo.com. icecreamladydream@yahoo.com. Or you can go to my GoFundMe. And I'm going to go ahead and put all of these things in the chat box, but you can find my GoFundMe, my PayPal, and my Cash App. You can find all of that in the description to this video, all of that. I'm going to go ahead and put that stuff in the description. So the PayPal is icecreamladydream@yahoo.com. The Cash App is $Rashidalala. Once again, $Rashidalala. And you can find my GoFundMe. I'm going to put the link in the chat. And I ask that you support, because this financial support will help me to continue the legal fight. And, you know, I want to say thank you to people that have supported me. I am really appreciative of those that have donated to me. And I believe that you're donating to me because you know that I have not stopped fighting. You know, I have proof that I've not stopped fighting. I've just kept right on going. I can't really talk about everything that I've done because there's ongoing litigation right now. But the fact is I have never stopped fighting. And I am so grateful to those people that have made a contribution to my legal fees. And, you know, you made a contribution to my campaign and you stuck by me. You know, I have some real riders out there, and I'm so grateful for y'all. There are not enough words in the English language to tell you guys how grateful I am. You know, I spend a lot of time talking about the people that are causing the problem, but you know, I just want to take some time to speak on the people that are contributing to solving the problem, to helping me solve the problem. And I am so, so thankful and grateful to you all for that. And I want to ask that you keep on making financial contributions. I want to ask that you keep supporting me because, again, I am still in the legal battles. I'm still fighting. I have not stopped, and I will not stop because it's bigger than me. It's bigger than me. You know, it's my fight and my work is going to benefit. It already has benefited other Black women who may not feel courage to keep fighting, who may be intimidated or who may be afraid. I'm not intimidated. I'm unafraid. So keep supporting financially. The Cash App is $Rashidalala. Thank you to all of those that have made contributions to my Cash App. The PayPal is icecreamladydream@yahoo.com. Once again, icecreamladydream@yahoo.com. And my GoFundMe can be found by simply Googling Rashida Strober GoFundMe. And you all can, you can find the Cash App, the PayPal, and the GoFundMe if you go to the description or the comment section to any of my videos on my YouTube channel. You'll be able to find that, because I'm still fighting. I'm still fighting for justice, y'all. I'm still here fighting for justice. These people that have stalked me and harassed me need to be charged. The goal, the major goal here, the main goal is for all the perpetrators to be charged, arrested and charged. with the crime of cyber stalking, harassment, and also stalking, because I have been harassed online and stalked online. That's cyber stalking. And I have been harassed by phone calls and also emails and text messages. So these people and the person that initiated this, all of these people, my goal, my ultimate goal, they need to be charged and arrested. That is the goal. They need to be charged and arrested. And of course, I'm still within the statute of limitations because the harassment and the stalking is ongoing. It has not stopped. So understand that the goal is to have these individuals charged and arrested. I want to see them behind bars for their crimes. It's just that simple. If you're committing a crime against a person and you've done the crime, you need to be held accountable for that crime. And there's evidence, which I do have evidence, lots of evidence of these crimes committed against me. Plus, again, there's other victims. There's other victims out here. And that's the part that is really just disheartening to me, because these other victims that are out here on YouTube, some of these women have YouTube channels, some of these women have other social media platforms, and they have been victimized. You know, and it's not just females, it's also a man that has been victimized and stalked and harassed. This stuff is illegal. So I'm pushing for an arrest. I'm not satisfied. I want these people to be held accountable. And the way that you make a person accountable if they have committed a crime is you arrest them. You charge and arrest them. It's just that simple. So, you know, that's the goal. You know, imagine someone sending you dead body parts and telling you that they're going to kill you. You know, imagine someone constantly calling your phone all hours of the day and the night, threatening to kill you. Imagine someone going on to YouTube and stating that they will kill you and telling other people to kill you, and then turning around and giving out your information so that those people can carry that out. That is exactly what has happened to me. And everybody that has done that to me, they need to be charged and arrested. Every last individual. These people, they are very sick. And you know, I really began to understand the sickness. I really began to understand the sickness when I started getting the actual emails and the texts. The graphic nature of some of these emails and texts is so graphic in nature that sometimes, you know, you can't show stuff to people. Like, I wouldn't come on here necessarily and show you pictures of the graphic sexual violent things that I have been sent by this person's followers, this person and their followers. These people are very sick and dangerous. Understand what we're dealing with here. That's why I said what we are looking at is we're looking at the possibility, due to these people's actions, of a Black woman being hurt or killed. Because of this person's actions and their followers, we are looking at the possibility of a Black woman being murdered. And it's all because these people were allowed to come onto YouTube and carry out the stalking and harassment and carry out and incite the violence. So, I mean, I'm hoping and praying that it does not take one of these people killing a Black woman. It shouldn't take that. when we know what the problem is and we can stop it. But that is my biggest fear, that a Black woman, at the incitement of this particular person and their followers, that one of them are going to end up killing a Black woman. And the world and society may devalue Black women, but I don't devalue Black women. You don't have a right to threaten and stalk and kill a Black woman. And this is exactly the road that these people are headed down. They're very, very dangerous people. Extremely dangerous. And YouTube needs to understand that YouTube should not allow their platform to be used to support these people that are mentally ill, that are dangerous, and that are threatening to kill Black women. YouTube shouldn't allow this. This is the part that's got to change. That's why I said, if you are a victim, you need to get in contact, direct contact with YouTube. It's not hard to do. YouTube has web forms. YouTube has an address. YouTube has a fax number. Now, I will tell you, it is difficult in terms of getting them to respond to your complaint. But what you need to be doing is making the complaints and keeping a record of the complaints that you've made. That is the important part. Just complain, detail your complaint in writing, and keep a record of it. And keep complaining and keeping the records. Because eventually this is going to have to be dealt with. And like I said, my prayer is that a Black woman, that one of these people, one of these sadistic, demonic people, my prayer is that they do not kill a Black woman. Because for years, the ringleader has incited this type of violence against Black women, I believe, since 2012. Telling people to go out and attack Black women. Using YouTube to get that message out, which is a sickening and appalling message. So do your part. If you're a victim, please contact the authorities in your locality. And also please reach out to YouTube and let them know what is going on with you. Once again, I'm asking everyone to continue to support me financially. You can go to my PayPal, which is icecreamladydream@yahoo.com. Once again, icecreamladydream@yahoo.com. You can also go to my Cash App, which you should see on the screen, which is $rashidalala. Once again, $rashidalala. Or you can go to my GoFundMe. The Cash App, the PayPal, and the GoFundMe can be found on any video on my YouTube channel in the description or in the comment section, or you can actually find the same information of where to donate on my website. And my website is darkskinactivist.com. Once again, darkskinactivist.com. Okay, so please go and make a contribution to help me continue to fight. I'm going to keep going. That's my promise to you. I have not wavered. I've already proven myself a year in, and I'm still here in the fight. I've lost some battles, but I've also won some battles. I'm still here fighting. So support me financially. Very important. My phone, I fell on the floor. Sorry about that. It's very important. It is very important that I have your continued financial support. I cannot even express to you how important it is. So please go and make a contribution. Once again, I want to thank you guys for watching. Thank you to my new subscribers. Like this video, share this video. Rashida Strober, the world's first and only dark-skinned activist. And in closing, I want to say to the victims out here that have been victimized by this person and their followers, please go to the authorities. Go make a police report. Please go to YouTube and Google.